Are you ready to hoist the colors? Now, time for the most in-depth look at the world of ECU athletics. Welcome in to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Now, here's your host, Stephen Igo.
All right, welcome in to Hoist the Colors on this Friday, Reaction Friday. East Carolina falls to SMU 31-10. They suffer another disappointing setback. They're now 0-5 against FBS competition this year, 1-5 overall. The lone win, of course, coming against Gardner-Webb, but another frustrating night. Inside Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium, again, similar theme to past games. East Carolina hangs around. Looks like they've got momentum at certain points. Defense playing extremely well. One-score game in the fourth quarter. East Carolina has the football, has the chance to really go win the game or take the lead, and just can't do enough offensively. And two back-breaking turnovers, including a pick six, leads to more of the same. So we are having a reaction show on this Friday. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You got a question, comment? I'm sure many of you do. We got a lot to discuss. If you want to call in, you can do that as well. 252-561-8255. We're taking any and all calls over the next hour. Philip Pilkington is producing. He's back in the studio. We'll get his thoughts on the game here shortly. But again, 252-561-8255. Philip, just let me know if anybody calls in. Feel free to interrupt me. I'm not quite as long-winded as Steve Logan, but you might have to step in
That's
every
hard to
now
be.
and then and
That's
do
hard
that.
to be.
Yeah,
I love Coach,
exactly.
but he's a little long-winded.
Yeah, he's the best. He definitely gets going. So look, I mean, it's like a broken record at this point, Philip. It's, you know, the defense plays well enough to win and plays well enough to keep you in the game, and the offense just can't get anything going. We heard a lot from Donnie Kirkpatrick coming out of the bye week about East Carolina shooting its shot and maybe doing some different things offensively. And I did see some different things. The results were the same. You know, they used more two-back sets. They used more motion. They did chip on tight end and running back at times. You know, they involved Chase Sowell more in the passing game. Because a lot of the things that I wanted to see, they did. Unfortunately, Javius Bond, which was my number one thing I wanted to see, him get fed the ball more. He gets hurt on the game's opening kickoff. That's a whole other discussion we can get into, whether or not he should be out there. But the results are the same. We saw more Mason Garcia. We saw Alex Flint. And neither guy could really consistently move the offense. Mason did have the two scoring drives, but the Pirates shut out in the second half. And just a really, really frustrating time right now for ECU fans because, Philip, to me, it feels like you got the best defense you've had in years, and at this point it's all being wasted just on the lack of ability to score the football.
Yeah, you do have a phenomenal defense, and I think the interesting thing here, Igo, is we had a lot of worries. I'm going to make this quick so we got a caller coming in, but a lot of the positions we worried about seem like they're even the best positions. So, like the cornerback room, for example, is phenomenal. I'll toss it back to you so I can answer this phone.
Yep. Again, if you want to call in, as Philip takes that call, 252-561-8255. We got a lot of responses on Twitter as well, and we'll get to some of those throughout the next hour. Just, frustrating time right now because, and look, I've said this before, nobody's working on it more than the coaching staff and the players, but the results are the results. This is a win business, and when you don't win football games, it gets frustrating. And year 5 of Mike Houston era, I mean, we're just kind of seeing things trending in the wrong direction offensively. All right, Philip, is that caller ready?
Yep, we got Dan on the line.
Dan, what's up?
Hey, Igo. Just a kind of a question for you. I know Donnie has been taking some pretty big heat, and rightfully so, over the course of the season so far, but how much of the play calling is actually Mike Houston? I'm not convinced that Houston doesn't want to play kind of a, rough and tumble, up the middle, low-scoring football game. We've heard him say it a lot, especially, around Navy time. He's really excited to have those kind of tough yardage, low-scoring football games. So how much of that is Houston rather than it actually being Donnie?
It's a good question. Donnie is calling the actual plays, and he is, calling the plays from play to play. My thing is, I don't know if, we're not in the headset, so we don't know how much Mike Houston has the ability to dictate, all right, let's go in a different direction here with this play call. From my understanding, I think he has an influence on kind of the style and maybe the game plan as far as, hey, here's what we want to do. But Donnie is calling the plays from play to play. Coach Houston does have the veto power to step in and change a play if he wants to, but I just have a hard time believing he would be up there on the headset while Donnie's trying to call a drive, dictating play to play. He's a defensive coach. So, again, I think it's more of a philosophy thing than him actually calling plays. So, maybe, look, it probably has something to do with it, Dan. I think certainly, Coach Houston seems to be a more conservative coach. Over time, he used to run the triple option. But I think defensively, he's more involved as far as the X's and O's. But I would say he definitely plays a role in the philosophy. But it is Donnie's play calling at the end of the day.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess Donnie's been, he's been in the offensive game for a long time. I just thought that by now Donnie would have tried to mix it up. I know, you've talked about you can't overhaul an offense mid-season. However, if you've called plays for some time, I think you can mix it up, roll things out, do things a little bit different to get guys out. And I know that. I thought maybe Mike was having a little more control over the style of offense that we're playing, and maybe it's not all Donnie. But just a personal thought. Appreciate the feedback.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for the call. And yeah, I mean, that's just one of those things. It's hard to know exactly what that dynamic is like. I'm sure they meet before and after every game throughout the week, kind of address how they want to attack the defense. I'm sure Coach Houston, with his defensive background, gives his input on, hey, here's how this defense looks, here's how we might can attack it. But I've always gotten the vibe it's kind of Donnie's offense, and Coach probably steps in with maybe some philosophy thoughts every now and then. But it's tough for us to say, even as close as I'd like to think I answer the program. I don't really know, and we've asked in the past, but I don't think Coach Houston is the type of guy to come out and say exactly what's going on 100% behind the scenes. But there's definitely some influence there, but I think it is Donnie's play calling. All right, if anybody else wants to call in, again, 252-561-8255. I posted the drive chart, Philip. We talked about this before the show. East Carolina had 16 offensive possessions, which is a lot. 9 3-and-outs. 11 drives with with 3 plays or less, because 2 of those drives, you had the fumble on the second play and you had the interception on the first play. So 11 of your 16 drives, Philip, 3 plays or less. You did have 2 scoring drives in the first half, 2 extended scoring drives. One of those, an explosive play happened to Chase Sewell, I think 45-yard catch. But outside of that, just no real explosion plays, no real consistency offensively, and it's just hard to pinpoint the exact issue. And again, I saw some different things, but you can't win a football game having 9 3-and-outs or the vast majority of your drives being 3 plays or less.
Hey, Igo, we got Reese on the line.
Okay, Reese, let's hear it, man. What's going on?
So I was just thinking, we're running the double quarterback situation right now, and I'm kind of trying to figure out, what do you guys think about that? We had snap and practice and stuff like that. They're getting different cues, and so I'm just kind of, what's your thoughts on that? Are you, agreeing with the double quarterback situation, or thinking that we should kind of start really ripping into one versus the other, or what's your thoughts on that?
Good question, Reese. Hey, if you could you turn your radio down just so we don't get that feedback? But it's a tough situation because neither guy in a game situation has stepped up and separated himself as a clear go-to guy. Like, clearly Mason Garcia did have the 2 scoring drives last night, but then they hit a major lull. And at times when they did have good pass protection with Mason in there, which wasn't a lot, he missed some throws, and that caused some issues as well. So I think they decided after the run game kind of stalled out a little bit to go back to Alex Flynn. And unfortunately, they moved the ball at times, but then you turn the ball over, and you can't have turnovers. And that's been Alex's issue, whether it's him or the guys around him. They have had too many turnovers when Alex Flynn is in at quarterback, too many back-breaking turnovers. At the end of the day, I just don't think you have a true number one quarterback right now. And, people have said, let's play Raheem Jeter. I don't think that's going to solve anything right now. He's a true freshman. There's too many issues offensively around these guys. If you had a better supporting cast, I think it'd be a better situation for Mason and Alex. That's not there right now, so a lot is falling on their shoulders. And with the two-quarterback deal, in some ways, it makes the defense prepare for more, but it also, like you said, different type of ball they're throwing, different cadence. We did see the false start, 2 separate occasions. Still shouldn't happen theoretically, but it plays a role. So it's just one of those things until one of these guys steps up in a game and basically wins a football game. That's what it comes down to. If Mason would have led a touchdown drive to give them the lead early in the third quarter, he gets the chance to finish the game probably. If Alex goes out and leads a touchdown drive to give them the lead, he has the chance to go finish the game. And neither guy in the offense right now is just not getting it done. So that's kind of why you're seeing this musical chairs, as frustrating as it is.
Right. So how much do you play it to the O-line versus the quarterback? I mean, there's a lot of breakdown in the O-line that shuts the pocket down. I get quarterbacks should be trained for pressure, right? But, as much pressure as they're receiving, it's kind of hard to really even give them a chance sometimes.
Yeah, no, it's fair. And going into the game, Pro Football Focus ranked ECU dead last in the country in FBS football, 133 out of 133 teams in pass protection. SMU was ranked second in the country in pass rush. It was going to be a mismatch. They've got dudes up front. ECU's offensive line's trying to find it. So that's a major problem right now, and they gave up a lot of pressure last night in just four-man rush situations. There were guys coming free when they blitzed them. So that certainly has a lot to do with it. And if you had a more stable offensive line, you probably wouldn't be seeing some of the turnovers we've seen these quarterbacks make, because I think it gets in their head, too, when they know they have to get rid of the football quick rather than go through their progression. So it all goes hand in hand. To me, the whole offense is broken right now. I mean, there's no – outside of the running back position, the running backs are an above-average, solid position group. The rest of the offense right now I don't think is good enough. And I think that's why you're seeing the offensive output. We've seen 11.4 offensive points per game against FBS competition through half a season is the average, and that's just – problematic. So, but Reese, appreciate the call. Anything else?
No, that'd be all. Thanks for your input.
Yeah, man. Thanks for the call. And there's Reese. Appreciate his call. All right. Anybody else want to call in? We're about to take our first break. 252-561-8255. We'll get you on the line. Fill it back in the studio. We'll interrupt me, and we'll find a way to get you through to the show. All right, a few more things. I'll check the Facebook and YouTube feed. Noah on Facebook says Dan Mullen would be a good hire if we could get him. Yeah, he's a really good coach. I don't know how much he's trying to get paid these days. He'd be a heck of an OC though. I mean, I didn't watch the broadcast. He seemed to be having a good time though, and it seemed like the ESPN crew was very complimentary of ECU. Chris Melvin said, "I'm trying my best to find some hope. A few years ago, Tulane only won 2 games, then came back last year and won the Cotton Bowl. Maybe we could do the same. Probably not, but I'm trying to be hopeful." And, I mean, for me, Chris, when I look at this situation, I know nobody wants to hear this, but the team is really not that far away if they could keep the defense in place and just fix the offense. I mean, that's easier said than done, but if you go out and got a quarterback, you got a number one receiver, an offensive tackle or two, and just had a competent offense, you could be a really good football team. This is probably the best defense we've seen at ECU since the Conference USA championships, and right now it's just being wasted. So I think the foundation is there. The problem is just the foundation offensively has crumbled, and right now the defense has improved dramatically. The special teams has been solid. The punting last night was good. Andrew Conrad made a 49-yard field goal. It's just frustrating that the offense has gone into this shell. We knew there'd be a step back, but for it to basically collapse like this has just been – it's frustrating, and I understand the frustration. And year 5, you can take a step back, but there's no way it should be this bad in year 5. So we'll discuss more of that on the other side. Let's get a break in. Again, 252-561-8255. If you want to call in, we'll get you on. This is Hoist the Colors on a Reaction Friday.
2024s are moving in, which means 2023s are moving out. It's the model year-end move out at Greenville Toyota. Shop new RAV4s, $289 a month. Even save on the all-new Camry, also $289 a month. At Greenville Toyota, where our volume saves you money.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked to order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
At GoEco, we don't just supply the office space. We create solutions for any environment. Our state-of-the-art commercial-grade video display is perfect for watching film with the team. From film study to the field, elevate your game with GoEco.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
The 2024s are here and the 2023s need to move. It's the model year-end move out at Greenville Toyota. Move in on new Tacomas just $299 a month. Plus, get the Greenville Advantage at Greenville Toyota, where our volume saves
everything you need to know in the world of ECU athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Okay, welcome back into the show on this Friday. We're recapping SMU's 31-10 win over ECU. Pirates dropped to 1-5. All right, let's head back to the live lines. Cameron, I believe, is holding on. Let's get to Cameron. What do you got for us, Cameron?
Hey, Stephen. You've been following ECU sports for a long time. I mean, it's your job. You've seen different coaching staffs come through and stuff, different players come through. To me, the most concerning aspect of this whole ordeal we're going through right now is the fact that our coaching staff has been here 5 years, 2 winning seasons, but yet they can't seem to develop and their players that they've recruited. And it also seems to me that we may have laid a major egg on the offensive recruiting side of the football. I mean, our offensive linemen are undersized. They can't hold up. Poor quarterback play. How did the coaches not see this coming 2 years ago when they knew our offensive production was going to leave and graduate? It just blows my mind, especially after 2 winning seasons. How could you not develop these players more? How could you not recruit more, tap in the transfer portal? I mean, I choose not to believe that they didn't see this coming. I have a feeling that they're smart people. They knew that this was probably going to happen. And now here we are on the track to maybe a 2-10 season. It's just, that's the most concerning part to me, is just the recruiting failure on the offensive side of the ball. I just want to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the biggest issue. I mean, and you know, I talked about this with Bobby Harvard, who we have on every Wednesday. He made the point, you know, a lot of people said, did Coach Houston expect to be out of here by year 5, and that's why it's taken such a dive. I don't think so. I mean, you look at the defensive side of the ball, they have recruited well, they've established an identity, and they have developed players on that side of the ball. Offensively, it's been the opposite. I mean, they don't really have an identity. When you don't have a quarterback, things can look rough. I think they expected Mason Garcia to be the guy. And I've been out of practice. Mason has looked phenomenal at times. And it just has not translated into games, and it's cost them. And the offensive line, you lose Avery Jones and Nashad Strother. Nashad kind of really hurt them leaving at the end of spring ball. That's a guy you expect to be an all-conference caliber guard. Then he leaves at the end of spring. If that's done in the winter, maybe it's a little bit easier to handle. But certainly the offensive line recruiting and development leaves a lot to be desired. The receiving recruiting is the most disappointing to me because ECU historically always recruits receivers well. And you look at the offensive recruiting under this regime, Brock Spalding is the only scholarship receiver originally recruited out of high school still on the team from I think the 2019 through 2022 recruiting classes, which is just hard to fathom. And recruiting's an inexact science. NFL draft, we see it all the time. That's an inexact science. How many quarterbacks miss in that realm? So you're not always going to hit 100%. I mean, if you hit 50 to 60% in football recruiting, you're doing pretty good. But they've missed on too many guys offensively. They brought in some transfers. They were not able to get the top line transfers they wanted this offseason due to NIL, and they, quite frankly, at this point, are missing the quarterback. And that is causing a lot of these other issues to show up. And right now, we've got the results we got. But I agree. You got to be in a better position right now. They missed the boat offensively based on what we've seen half a season in, Cameron. That's kind of what I got. Anything else?
I just wanted to say thank you for all the hard work you do to ECU athletics. I love reading your stuff. I mean, you've been through a lot of bad years, good years. I appreciate all the stuff you've done for East Carolina.
Appreciate it, Cameron. Thanks for tuning in, man. Thanks for reading, and thanks for the call. And, yeah, it's unfortunately we're all a little used to this at this point. It's just I think what makes it so difficult for everybody involved, fans, even coaches, players, media, is we thought we were kind of past this, and now here we are back again in a tough circumstance, and it's just frustrating. But, by the way, anybody else want to call in, 252-561-8255. Philip Pilkington is producing. Philip, this is fun, man. Nothing like live callers to get the show rolling. But I guess when you have a reaction show the day after a loss versus on a Monday, give it a few days to stir or stew a little bit, it's a little bit different, right?
Yeah, people have had less than 24 hours to meditate on it, and they want to be heard, so I definitely don't blame them. I love all the callers. The one thing I will say about this offense, I was going to do it when you first threw it to me and I was answering the phone, was Mason Garcia, I thought, after a couple weeks ago, had no chance of succeeding in this program at the confidence level that he was at. And yes, you kind of mentioned some plays that he made that maybe weren't phenomenal, but I saw, and I want to get your take on it because you were there, a much more confident Mason Garcia. It looked like the Mason Garcia we saw at Michigan for the first couple drives before he threw that pick, and I think now he still at least stands a chance to be the guy of the future, just solely because he's in the right mindset, or at least he appears to be with his body language and his footwork in the pocket.
I really thought he made a concerted effort. At times when they had like good offensive plays, you could see he was trying to be kind of that emotional spark, that emotional leader. Like he was yelling to the sideline, like "Let's go" to his teammates. So I really like Alex Flynn. He's more the calm and composed demeanor type, whereas Mason's a little more energetic, upbeat, and I do thought he looked more confident last night, and I think there's stuff to build on there. I don't necessarily blame the coaches for going back to Alex Flynn because the offense had kind of stalled out, and Mason had struggled to make some passes with good pockets. Alex just didn't perform much better, unfortunately. So I understand the questioning of it too. I think even if they would have stayed with Mason, I'm not sure they would have scored again based on how the game was trending. So it's just one of those things. I do think eventually, though, you reach a point where you got to roll with Mason, and we've talked about this a lot too. You got to find out if he's got the chance to be the guy. Use the second half of the season. At this point, you're not likely going to a bowl game, so use the second half of the year to 100% know, is he the guy or is he not? And if anything else, you got to find out the answer to that question by the end of the year. And if not, then I don't know what we're really doing, because you got to go into the offseason knowing you need a quarterback if he's not on the roster already, and you're going to need some NIL money to realistically get that done. So I like Cole Hodge, the freshman they have committed, but you can't count on a true freshman to come in at quarterback and start right away. All right, a few more comments here as we continue to roll along on this Reaction Friday. Facebook, Jay says Steve Logan. By the way, you can hear the Logan's on tonight, 5 o'clock on 94.3 The Game. Jay says Steve Logan always said most meaningful stats are turnovers and rushing for 150 yards and passing for 200+. He says we lost turnover battle 2-0. Rushed for 97 and only threw for 193. Yeah, 0 turnovers until the fourth quarter. And those were back-breaking turnovers. As, again, 14-10 game, Flynn has a good first down run, and he's stripped. SMU gets a field goal off that, and then the pick six. So it's just those are back-breaking plays. WJ says probably time for Coach Houston to figure out what type of coordinator he wants for next season. Tommy says transfer portal went there for a few years ago. We lost a lot after last year. Johnny Martin, last night Mason provided a spark, and then they pulled him, and he didn't play in the second half. Last night looked like his night. Well, he did start the second half, but then he went 3 and out his first 2 series of the second half. So, look, I get it. You know, there's been times we've seen Alex get a full game, and we haven't really seen that from Mason since Marshall. I have a feeling, though, going forward, there's a good chance we see Mason full game just for the reasons I talked about earlier. Jay, to that point, says it's time to put Flynn on the shelf. He has a turnover problem. We've seen a ceiling. At this point, it would be a split, or it should be a split between Mason and Jeter. Don't worry about Jeter's red shirt. We are playing for 2024. I don't know.
Wait,
man. It's just one of those things.
That's a little confusing to me. If we're playing for 2024, why? I guess his point is to like breed Jeter to be ready for next year.
Right.
I guess is his point, but still, yeah.
You also want to redshirt him, though.
Yeah, I also want a redshirt. But I guess his point is we need to be good in 2024. Don't worry about 2028, I guess, or 2027 it would be. I guess is his point. So I don't know. Still, I don't want Jeter to lose confidence by getting thrown to the wolves and crap hitting the fan.
We just talked about it. Like, this offensive line is ranked dead last, which it still blows my mind because ECU, I get it. You're not going to be able to have good offensive line talent, you know, at every spot. It's a tough position to recruit, but you shouldn't be last in the country in pass protection. And Pro Football Focus is a subjective grading scale, but the numbers are the numbers. You can watch the tape. It's not pretty. ECU cannot drop back and pass the ball at really any consistency right now. And you put Jeter back there, it's, you know, he's athletic. He can run around and make some things happen, but I think you go with Mason, at least give him the next 3-4 games to try and figure it out. And then if it's not then maybe you give Jeter the last couple of games of the year. I just, you know, that's how I kind of view it. But that's why the coaches are getting paid to make these decisions. This is a winnable game against Charlotte, so it's a chance to build some confidence with some quarterback. If they go out there and succeed, we'll see what happens. We'll get into that a lot more next week on the show. All right, let's get our second break in. We'll come back. We will continue on. We'll continue to take your calls. If you want to call in, 252-561-8255. Again, 252-561-8255. We've got several comments to read on social media as well. We'll be right back. This is Hoist the Colors after an East Carolina loss to SMU.
Air Service is back at Pitt Greenville Airport, offering safe, clean facilities and flights from American Airlines. That means the short commute, quicker lines, and better prices that get you where you're going fast and easy. See it for yourself. There's great things inside at Pitt Greenville Airport.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers in Greenville, plus the all-new Tiebreakers in Winterville. Do real burgers better than anybody. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, real burgers at its best.
Everybody loves burgers.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast. Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern Living's best small town.
Just because voice-over IP telephones are the latest technology in the telephone world doesn't mean they're the right choice for you and your business. Whether your internet provider is unable to support a voice-over IP phone system, or you don't have a need for high-tech features and simply want to stick with a traditional system, Spain Telecom is here to help. Spain Telecom offers a variety of services to keep your business connected and competitive. We're confident we can find the right phone system for you and your business, a system that addresses all your communication needs. Looking for a new phone system that won't break the bank? In addition to new systems, Spain Telecom also offers gently used systems that are in great shape and can save you money. No matter your needs, Spain Telecom has a solution for you. Whether it's voice over IP, on-premise systems, new or used, give us a call at 252-353-2006 and let Spain Telecom help you with your communications needs.
Air Service is back at Pitt Greenville Airport, offering safe, clean facilities and flights from American Airlines. That means the short commute, quicker lines, and better prices that get you where you're going fast and easy. See it for yourself. There's great things inside at Pitt Greenville Airport.
Hey, grab me one too.
With Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Hoist the Johnny Roger!
Now, back to Hoist the Colors.
All right, welcome back to this Reaction Friday show, October 13th. We're recapping a tough ECU loss, 31-10, gets away from the Pirates again in the fourth quarter. We're taking your calls, reading your comments. I do want to hit our Pirate of the Week, brought to you by East Coast Agency. Usually we do this on Mondays. We saved it for Friday this week with the game being on Thursday. Appreciate Tim Vliet and his support of the program. Are you prepared for the unpredictable? Hurricane season is here, but don't worry. They'll get you covered at East Coast Agency. When the storm clouds gather, ECA's insurance programs are your umbrella of protection from home, auto, or your business. ECA's tailored plans to shield what matters most. It doesn't matter who your agent is until it does. Call the team at ECA today, 919-446-5061. 910 is that number. Should be 910-446-5061. And our Pirate of the Week this week, Siobhan Rebel. I know a lot of tough stuff from the offense, but how about that defense yesterday? And really, SMU came out with a game plan with ECU playing the run and with ECU playing man coverage on the back end. They were taking shots at Siobhan Rebel down the sideline. The former JUCO cornerback did a tremendous job. He was targeted 10 times. He said after the game, I've never been tested like that in my career. He only gave up 2 catches. He did give up a 39-yard catch, but, I mean, honestly, they threw at him downfield close to 6-7 times alone, threw at him 10 times total. He had 4 pass breakups. He also had 4 tackles without a missed tackle. Pro Football Focus graded him out elite, 90.4 defensive grade, 90.3 coverage grade. Tremendous performance by Siobhan Rebel, and he is our East Coast Agency Pirate of the Week. And again, Antoine Jackson, I know, gave some plays last night, had a PI, but still really high on these 2 corners. I mean, he's a true freshman. He's going to continue to get better. And this defense right now is good enough to win football games. It's just the offense is not. All right, if you want to call in, 252-561-8255, 252-561-8255. Let's get back to your comments on social media. And Thick Poppy, great name, says, I pray that we could retain a lot of the defensive players. And John Moody says, NIL scares me to death. I don't know how a school like ECU can even put up a fight. Well, I mean, I think it's a fair concern, John. I do think ECU has the donor base to be respectable in NIL. And the other issue is, too, you're losing the teams. Look, SMU is a different ballgame. They have more talent than ECU because they've gone out, they've bought players. but when you're losing to Rice, which I think has some NIL presence, but not a lot, when you're losing to App and Marshall, those teams I don't think have more NIL presence than ECU. That's when it becomes a little bit less of a talking point, but it's still a legitimate point, because if you are going to use NIL, which ECU definitely will and needs to, you're going to have to make the most of your resources. Right now, ECU is kind of paying the players on the team via a tiered system through the Boneyard Collective. Maybe you find a way this offseason to put more of that into the transfer portal. Hey, you need a quarterback? All right, let's say $400,000 that we've raised and put $100,000 of that to go buy a quarterback. Put $50,000 to go buy an offensive tackle. You may not get the top guys on the market. You won't, because the SEC is paying a lot more. A lot of schools are paying a lot more, but you can get a solid player, a solid upgrade. So they're going to have to reevaluate what they're doing this offseason if you want to compete for championships. And I think the donors need to open their eyes. Some already have. I know the Clarks gave $100,000 to Team Boneyard this time last year, and maybe again for this year. So, but some of the big-time donors that have given millions, try to give some of that money to NIL. Without the players, you can have the nicest facilities in the world, but if you don't have the players, you're not going to have wins. If you don't have wins, you're not going to have fans in the stands. So I think everything, coaching, NIL, from the top down, needs to be evaluated this offseason based on how the season's going. To be honest, all of it needs fixing right now. So that's the topic for the offseason. Philip, what's your, on the NIL front, do you feel like ECU can at least be competitive there and maybe not dominate the landscape, but at least find a way to, to have a better product than what we're seeing now?
I think they 100% do. We have to realize NIL is still relatively new. A lot of the kids that are on this team that are playing on the field were recruited prior to NIL becoming a thing, or at least a lot of NIL collectives. And what makes me feel positive about East Carolina is Rhett Lashley, SMU's coach, said in his Monday press conference, the best atmosphere in the American is ECU. Our fan base is more passionate about Pirate football than most other fan bases in the American. Yes, there are teams elsewhere in the country in bigger conferences where that might not be the case, but at the end of the day, we need to have the goal to do what we did in Conference USA, win conference championships. And when you go to Rice and you see nobody in the stands, or Charlotte, FAU, Temple, Tulsa, Tulane, and the list goes on and on and on, we have more fans in the stands. I think we have more fans that care. Now, I did mention some private schools that might have a couple guys with some big-time oil money, Tulsa, for example, where even though they might not have as many people that care, they've got some resources we don't have in Eastern North Carolina to help with that. But overall, Temple's in Philadelphia. I don't think most kids who go to Temple know that Temple has a football team. And I'm sure their alumni doesn't really care. So those are the teams that we have to be better than in NIL. And I think moving forward, there's a huge opportunity for us to be, and I think we will be. But again, you almost have to get 4 recruiting classes of guys when NIL had already been in place when they were starting being recruited, as in when they were juniors. That's when you will see the full, effect of the NIL and NIL collectives. Unfortunately, right now we are still in the infant stages. We're still in the newborn stages of NIL.
Yeah, I think the only, quick fix wise, you could evaluate the portal and how that's affected by NIL. High school recruiting, definitely you need time. And I don't know, though. It's like you said, early stages. This is really the first year ECU is paying the majority of its roster through NIL. So, they're trying to figure it out. The donors are trying to figure it out. Other schools across the country are trying to figure it out. It's something that, I need to look into more at the end of the season, towards the end of the season, to really get a better feel for how other schools are doing it, because I feel like we just, as a collective, fan base, media, everybody needs to be educated more on it. So we'll work on that. All right, Michael Jones says, I'm done calling for coaches to be fired. This is now on John Gilbert, and it's going to be time for him to go if he allows this to continue like this. Yeah, look, tough decisions are going to have to be made at some point if this continues, because, you're 1-5. You look at the schedule. We try to predict it. ECU is only going to be favored in maybe 2 more games as it stands right now. So you could go 3-9. the team could improve. You could maybe get 3, 4, 5 wins. You could finish 2-10. I mean, at that point, you're going to lose money for ticket sales for next year. So you got to evaluate the whole situation. Tough decisions are going to be made at some point, and I don't know when that is. We also got a fan, Daniel, asking why hasn't Donnie Kirkpatrick been fired yet? This is Bob Trott on steroids. My thing was, if you were going to make a change at OC, if it wasn't in the offseason, and ECU was coming off a very good statistically offensive year, it wasn't likely to happen then. If you're going to make it in season, it probably would have happened during the bye week. It didn't happen then. I just don't think there's a viable alternative on the staff right now. You have Shane Montgomery as an offensive analyst. He's been an OC before, but this is his first year at the program, and I don't know how different his system is than Donnie Kirkpatrick's. You don't have anybody else in the offensive staff that has play calling experience, so that's it's just not an ideal situation to replace him mid-season, other than making a move just to satisfy the fan base, which I don't maybe there is some credence to that. I don't know. But that doesn't strike me as a Mike Houston thing to do. I mean, I think he's going to make the best decision, what he feels is going to give them the best chance to win the next game. And who knows, what that is. Who knows what he's thinking. If this continues, I don't see how there aren't changes on the offensive side of the ball with the numbers they're putting up at the end of the season. Aaron Murphy says, what are they looking for in a quarterback to name them the guy? He says no signs of urgency during the fumble play, not going for it 4th and 2. With 6 minutes left, already down 14. Good questions there. As far as the quarterback, I think somebody's got to go win the game. I mean, I've said that a lot. Somebody's got to go step up, win a game. I mean, you're 0-5 versus FBS teams. No quarterback has stepped up and made the winning plays in the fourth quarter, which is why the team has collapsed in the fourth quarter. So that kind of answers two birds with one stone there. No signs of urgency during the fumble play. I did have a problem with that, Philip. I don't know if you saw this, but so Flynn ran, he got the first down, and SMU players were adamant that they stripped him, and ECU took its time. There was no urgency getting back to the line to snap the ball in the next play. And when they did snap it, of course, it was blown dead. Converse that to what SMU did early in the game when they hit a big passing play over Siobhan Revel down the sideline. Replay showed the ball may have hit the ground. They got up to the line, snapped it with 30 seconds left on the play clock, maybe more, just to get the play off so it wouldn't be reviewed. And I thought the two differences there, you kind of almost have to have a situational awareness to, all right, maybe we did fumble there. Let's get to the line, try to snap it so they can't review it. And I thought that was a missed opportunity there.
It definitely was. And, the really hard part about football is football's a game of inches, to where if you do run to the line, you call a play, it doesn't go well, and then you look back and go, oh, we had nothing to worry about. That stinks. But that's for the coaches to think about. That's not for the players to think about. The players have to know, hey, look, all we know is SMU, our guy had the ball, SMU ended up with the ball, and they're all pointing, and they're yelling at officials. It doesn't matter. You've got to get your rear end on the line, get set, get 7 guys on the ball, and if you run QB sneak, halfback dive, whatever, it doesn't matter, because you would much rather look back and go, crap, we ended up having a negative play, and if we would have taken our time, we had nothing to worry about in the review, you would so much rather have that regret than waking up this morning and have the regret you have of, we took our sweet butt time and they reviewed the darn thing, and the other team has the football. I mean, and I saw the replay. The good thing is this game wasn't streaming, so I was only about half a play behind instead of 3 plays behind like normal from the radio broadcast. And, I mean, it was not close. Alex Flynn's backside was 6, 8, 10 inches off the ground. And, yeah, they've, like you said, huge missed opportunity. Sorry, you asked me a quick question, and I went on a rant, and I'm sorry, but yeah, big missed opportunity, and you got to have that football IQ. You just got to do it. You just got to get on the line.
It's worthy of a rant because, SMU ran the play. They ran a stretch play, probably just some stock play they have in for this situation. Hey, let's get to the line, snap it. It was stuff for no gain, maybe even a loss. But they got the 50-yard catch or whatever it was to count because they got that play off. I'm pretty sure the back angle from the end zone showed the ball hitting the ground, but it was the second replay that showed after the ball was already snapped on the ESPN feed. So, like, I don't think even the replay guy had time to review it. So, situational awareness, got to be on it. And then Aaron also asked about not going for it on 4th and 2 with 6 minutes left. It was 4th and 2 from ECU's own 33, down 14. Yeah, I mean, I would have gone for it there. I'm not a head coach, but I don't know what you have to lose in that situation. I didn't like the call to punt it. You know, they did have 3 timeouts. If you get them 3 and outs, you get it back with, around 4:30 left and 3 timeouts, and maybe you can still put together a drive from there. But 4th and 2, I think you go for it there, Philip. I didn't love that call. What was your thoughts?
Growing up watching more NFL, I've always been more conservative about going for it on 4th down. However, in this standpoint, the offense was not moving the ball. Even if you get a quick 3 and out and get the ball back, you're down 2 scores. Now you're looking at 4 minutes left. You're going to need explosion plays. This offense has not proved to me in 6 games that they can have explosion plays. Every touchdown drive we've had has been sustained drives, which, is good to an extent, but it's not been explosion plays. You would have needed that down 2 scores inside 5 minutes. It's 4th and 2. Like I said, I'm not the coach. I've always been more conservative, but in this mindset, I'm going to be a little more gutsy, and I would say go for it as well. Hindsight's obviously 2020 looking back now, but at the time, Dom and I kind of looked at each other and we were like, yeah, we were kind of calculating when we would get the ball back, and the calculations did not go well for an offense that has struggled as much as this one has. I think you just got to trust your offense to get 3 yards. But to your point, worst passing, and I know you probably ran the ball, but worst pass blocking team in the country. So, 2 yards is, I guess, easier said than it is to come by sometimes.
Yeah, and they went on to score a touchdown after the punt anyways, SMU did. So, it, ended up basically being the same if you would have given them a short field. Again, hindsight 2020. But kind of a head-scratcher there. A lot of fans were not happy with that decision, and I get it. I don't want to say they were conceding defeat because, the other thing too is, Philip, you almost have more faith in the defense, like stripping the ball out than the offense putting together an explosion play at this point. I don't know. So maybe there's something to the theory they were trying to pin them back and get a defensive turnover. I don't know, because Stone has been turnover prone at times.
True, and the junky part about this is you were down like 14 and not 10, because I really do trust our defense in that situation to hold them to 3. When our defense has been given a short field this year, they've really been phenomenal, I would even say. I'd say throughout the year they've been pretty good, but that is the one category. It has just been above and beyond us holding them to 3. We saw it with the field goal that SMU did have to kick after the fumble that we were talking about just a minute ago from Alex Flynn. So I unfortunately, you hold them to 3, you get down 17, but like you said, just have them punch at the football, because at the end of the day, if they let up a touchdown, crap, who cares at that point? And like you said, Stone's been turnover prone. That's kind of been the one difference, I think, between him and Tanner Mordecai last year, and why their offense hasn't been as effective is because Tanner did a better job of taking care of the ball than Preston Stone has.
Yeah, just a lot of interesting things happened last night, and well, I didn't ask Coach Houston after the game, and again, every time the team loses, the narrative, at least for us media folks, is we got to ask the tougher questions, and I get it. The fans want to know certain situations. There are like 20 people in the media room besides just me, but I asked about the offensive ineffectiveness. I think I've asked about it after every game this year in every which way. I probably should have asked about the 4th and 2 punt, so I'll ask on Monday during the coaches show, why punt in that situation, or, at the press conference next week whenever we get a chance to talk to Coach again. But, I don't know. It's an interesting call, and either way, I don't think ECU was going to win the game at that point, just given the ineffectiveness of the offense. All right, let's get our final break in. We'll come back. Again, if you want to call in, last call for your calls, 252-561-8255. 252-561-8255. We'll be right back to wrap up this Reaction Friday show.
5th Street Hardware is the home of the $9 lunch special Tuesday through Fridays. $9 specials every day, including the famous Burger Day on Tuesdays, Flatbread Pizza Wednesday, the famous 5th Street Hardware Reuben on Thursday, and fried fish or shrimp on Friday. Plus trivia on Wednesday nights and live music every Thursday nights.
And the Prime Rib Brunch Buffet has returned on Sundays. You heard that right. The Brunch Buffet with all the great items, including prime rib, 5th Street Hardware in downtown Greenville.
Tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
You can't name a lot of things that I didn't do. It's like a paper, like a book, not a Kindle. You outdated, I'm the one they getting into, and I break a sweat. Let's get it, 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 let's get it. Child, please, I don't need a towel, please.
Are you game day ready? Anson Belt, the official belt of ECU Athletics.
Are you ready for a digital hair color revolution? The Color Master Factory by Chi and LG. A masterpiece of innovation, unlimited color formulations, limitless possibilities. Long-lasting color. Chi.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
Climb aboard as we set sail and hoist the colors.
Ahar, matey!
Back to the show with Steve and Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back into the show on this Friday edition of Hoist the Colors. Wrapping things up. Got a few minutes left before we get out of here. And, hey, everybody can sit back and maybe enjoy some football this Saturday. Take your mind off the Pirates. Maybe go do some stuff with the family. Or just sit back and watch Oregon-Washington. And try to get your mind off of it. All right, a few more comments here. Thomas on Facebook says, at what point is Mike Houston going to stand up for his players and show emotion? I still cannot fathom how he did nothing after the pick that wasn't reviewed. The pick was not a pick. If we're talking about the Siobhan Revel play, that ball clearly hit the ground. Replay showed, so that was not worth reviewing. I know it looked like a pick live. It was not. As far as coach showing emotion, some of that is due to – look, I've seen him absolutely chew guys out in practice. He doesn't like doing it in front of the camera. He will chew the referees out, and that's kind of how he really releases his frustration, I guess, during game days. He's just not the type of coach to lash out in the middle of a game. And really – the players, as tough as this year has been, the players have kept a very good attitude. And I think the culture is still strong because Coach Houston is a good leader. I know fans get frustrated with kind of hearing the same thing after every game. He's got to keep a certain persona at the podium because if you start finger pointing and blaming one side of the ball or the other, that's how you create locker room issues. The players see everything he says at the podium. I know the fans want to hear more accountability, more direct answers. But to be honest, nothing's going to make anybody happy until the wins start to come. It doesn't matter what he says. So really, he could go on a tirade and call out the offense for being awful and failing to score points And it may make the fans happy in the moment, but it's not going to help at all in the locker room. Not going to help the team. So, understand that as well from a coaching perspective. Thomas also adds the media continues to be soft on Houston. He hasn't earned that right. Again, nothing we ask. I don't think he's going to make that big of a difference. I've asked every which way about the offense. I've asked Donnie about the offense. It's just they're just not very good right now. It is what it is. Thomas also says, when did we forget how to recruit receivers? I get that we do not have a quarterback that can get them the ball, but there were a few throws that hit a few of them in the hands. Those had to be caught at this level. Yeah, I mean, receivers have been a disappointment this year, but it's, Ryan King got in last night. They've rotated that receiver. They've utilized, Brock Spalding, Ryan King more in recent games. When you get your opportunity, you got to catch the football. Chase Soul is catching the football. And it's just one of those deals where nobody else is really consistently catching right now. We didn't even see Jalen Johnson get targeted last night. He had a few drops last game at Rice, so it's just a frustrating situation right now offensively. Grant Matthews says, give us a 30-second rundown of thoughts on the scrimmage. That's Monday. We are going to talk basketball. He's talking about the basketball scrimmage. We'll talk basketball. We'll have Kason Romeli on. He's our Hoist the Colors basketball analyst. We were both at the scrimmage. And we will have a full report on Monday's show. I know people are ready for basketball, and we'll talk a lot of basketball on Monday. And then, of course, turn our attention to Charlotte. Right now, though, I'm taking the weekend off from ECU football. I got to do it. I advise you all to do the same. Philip, thanks for the time today producing, and hopefully your Panthers can keep it close Sunday.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. It was fun.
Absolutely. This has been Hoist the Colors. We'll talk to you on Monday.
This has been Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo. Tune in weekdays at noon for all things ECU sports. Get a recap of the show at 943thegame.com, on Twitter, Facebook, or anywhere you get your podcasts. We're back Monday with more of Hoist the Colors on 943 The Game.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
Call AA Hauling 252-946-1227 or AAHauling.com.
R&D Brewing is proud to partner with the ECU Pirates, and now you can enjoy Pirates Brew, the official craft beer of ECU Athletics. Pirates Brew is a carefully curated light beer that embodies the spirit of ECU, a refreshing and easy drinking light beer. Pirates Brew by R&D Brewing is available now at grocery stores, local retailers, and at ECU athletic events.
Head over to your favorite store and enjoy a nice Pirates Brew today, or else you'll walk the plank. Hand me another Pirates Brew.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast, Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern Living's best small town.
Just because voice over IP telephones are the latest technology in the telephone world doesn't mean they're the right choice for you and your business. Whether your internet provider is unable to support a voice over IP phone system, or you don't have a need for high-tech features and simply want to stick with a traditional system, Spain Telecom is here to help. Spain Telecom offers a variety of services to keep your business connected and competitive. We're confident we can find the right phone system for you and your business, a system that addresses all your communication needs. Looking for a new phone system that won't break the bank? In addition to new systems, Spain Telecom also offers gently used systems that are in great shape and can save you money. No matter your needs, Spain Telecom has a solution for you. Whether it's voice over IP, on-premise systems, new or used, give us a call at 252-353-2006 and let Spain Telecom help you with your communications needs.
Hey Pirate Nation, I'm head men's basketball coach Mike Schwartz.
And I'm Kim McNeil.
head coach of your defending American Athletic Conference champion women's basketball team.
Basketball season is just around the corner, and we're looking forward to another exciting season on the hardwood.
We need Pirate Nation to Pat Minji's Coliseum by purchasing your season tickets today.
Call 1-800-DIAL-ECU or visit ECUPirates.com to get yours now.
Thanks, and go Pirates.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
Call AA Hauling 252-946-1227 or AA Hauling.